It's an honour to interview our guest. He has an MBE in recognition for Sri Lanka conflict, also worked in the UN peacekeeping, the Syria conflict, speaks 4 different languages, English, French, Spanish, and of course, Cambodian. He is the British ambassador to Cambodia, His Excellency Ambassador Dominic Williams. Thank you very much, Dominic, for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, you've got quite a good list here, an MBE for the recognition of Sri Lanka. How did you feel about that?
Well, obviously, it was a huge honour to get recognition from our government and from, at the time, Her late Majesty the Queen. And it was an intense period. It was my first full overseas posting working in Sri Lanka. And so it was very nice to have that recognition so early in my career.
Excellent. So how long have the UK and the British and Cambodia have bilateral relations?
So interestingly, it's quite an exciting time for me to have arrived in Cambodia as ambassador, because next year we'll celebrate the 70th anniversary of our diplomatic relations with Cambodia. And so those relations have been established since Cambodia became an independent country in 1953. And over the last 30 years, those relations have grown immensely. From the UK being involved in the UN peacekeeping mission here, with UK forces participating, through the support we've given since then to demining operations and to the process to try the former Khmer Rouge leaders, to our support for Cambodia's development. So today we have this incredibly rich and deep relationship with Cambodia, where we work together on all sorts of mutual areas of interest. And I would like to take this opportunity to say a big thank you to Cambodia, who've been really supportive to us over the last year as we've joined ASEAN as a dialogue partner. And the government of Cambodia has been really supportive of that, which is a reflection of the strength of our relationship today.
Yes, this year's been a big year for the ASEAN, and they had a few dialogue partners join this year, and of course also in principle with Timor-Leste to be a member of the ASEAN partners. So next year obviously is going to be a big year with a lot of plans and between you and relations with Cambodia. So what is going to be the future plans for strengthening relations between UK and Cambodia?
Well, I mean, there's 3 things that I would highlight. The first is that I think for both the UK and for Cambodia, working to extend and deepen our trade relationship is something that we both give a lot of priority to. Already, the trade relationship between both countries is valued at about $1 billion a year, but there's scope to do more. And the reason that that's of such interest to me is working on trade is not only good for the UK, but it also helps create jobs in Cambodia and better paying jobs for Cambodian people. I'm also really keen to work here to promote the rights of all Cambodian people, to work on the issues that matter to them. So particularly to support women, children, people with disabilities, minority communities, and the LGBTQI community here. And then lastly, I really want to create a bit of a buzz about the relationship. A 70th anniversary is not something that happens every year. So I'd like to create some excitement in Cambodia about the UK, and also create some excitement in the UK about Cambodia, because it is a fantastic country.
Yeah. Well, so it comes to my next question. How is the UK business and corporate relations between the 2 countries, and how big is the British community in Cambodia?
Well, we have a really extensive business relationship, and you have British businesses working in various different sectors of the economy. So we have in financial services and consultancy, we have the likes of Prudential and KPMG working here. In education, there's a lot of British schools that operate here and British education providers. And we're making inroads into the infrastructure sector with Fosters and Partners being involved in the new airport in Phnom Penh. And beyond that, British companies are really excited about the growth in the Cambodian market. So from all different sectors of the UK economy, British businesses are looking at how they can work in Cambodia and work with Cambodia. You asked about the British community. Unlike some other embassies, we don't keep records of all the British people that are based in countries overseas. So I can't really give you a clear answer on how many British people we have here. But the thing that I've found in the time I've been here is that British people in Cambodia are really making their presence felt. And again, I've mentioned business already, but in all walks of life, there are British people in Cambodia doing fantastic things. So I was in Siem Reap a couple of weeks ago running the half marathon. I ran that for the Anchor Hospital for Children. And that came about because when I was in Siem Reap, I discovered that there are 3 British staff who work at the Angkor Hospital for Children, providing free healthcare to children from across the whole of Cambodia. We have a British national who is the head of the Putisastra University, so really contributing to the education sector in Cambodia. And of course, we have a lot of British people working in NGOs and civil society organisations. So I was down in Chinookville also a couple of weeks ago, and Malok Tapang is an organisation that works with children and on child protection, and that's also headed by a British national. So we have Brits here all over the country doing really fantastic, exciting things to support Cambodia.
How did you go in the Angkor Wat marathon?
So I ran the half marathon about 10 days after recovering from COVID. So I was not as good as I would have liked to have been, but I was pleased to have done it in under 2 hours, which was the minimum I wanted to do.
So just by you explaining some of those British people here, they seem to be in quite good positions and everything else. So you must be pretty proud of that.
I'm immensely proud of the British community, and I think it's one of the things that I want to do as ambassador here is to really partner with the British community, because there's the relationship between the Cambodian government and between the British government, but actually the relationship between the 2 countries is so much broader and deeper than that. And I often think that how Cambodian people form their relationship about the UK, I'd like to think it's a little bit about what the embassy does, but actually I think it's much more about the British people that they meet in their own life, who they come across, and the impact those people make on them. So for me, working with those people makes absolute sense. And I'm delighted there are so many British people doing such wonderful things in Cambodia that they are creating a fantastic image for the UK here.
Good. Hun Manet has been chosen for the next Prime Ministerial position. How do you think he'll be as the next Prime Minister?
Well, I mean, I think the only people whose opinion really matters on that question is the Cambodian people. I'm a guest in this country. I've received a wonderful, warm welcome, and I'm delighted to be here. But as a foreigner, it's not my business to say who should or shouldn't be the Prime Minister. That's for the Cambodian people to decide. And obviously, there's an election next year, which I would like to see be free and fair, and I would like the Cambodian people to have the opportunity to express their opinion. And we will see what comes of that election. I haven't had the chance to meet Hun Manet myself, but I've heard good things about him. But it's the opinion of the Cambodian people that will matter.
Excellent. Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I've seen over the years different elections, and it seems to be easier and more fairer every year, or every election. The Songkran was held this year, and where I was had the privilege to do reporting and that, and speak to the observers, and it was great outcome that had come out of through their observers and everything else. And how do you feel that, or how did you think the Prime Minister handled things here in Cambodia during the COVID? I know you weren't here at that particular time, but I'm sure you would have spoken to some of the British community here and how things were handled during that time.
I mean, I think COVID was an intensely challenging time for every country. So I'm sure, that there are some things about the COVID response here that the government found challenging and that people living here found challenging. But the thing that I have observed in the time I've been here is that Cambodia has consistently, in the last few months, been in the top 10 of the Nikkei COVID-19 Recovery Index. So this looks at 120 countries globally and looks at how they've recovered from COVID. And Cambodia is consistently at the top of that table. And this isn't just compared with ASEAN countries or with Asia, this is with the world. So I think that's a testament to what Cambodia has achieved. And from what I understand, talking to my team here and to others, the way that Cambodia was able to keep the levels of infection low, the speed with which they were able to roll out a vaccination program, the support that the government gave to vulnerable people who lost their jobs or their incomes during the COVID period, all of these were fantastic interventions and really laid the ground for Cambodia to be able to return to normal much faster than some other parts of the world.
Yes, I was here during COVID, and I think I was privileged because we were given the vaccination for free and everything else. So we were treated like a local. So, I mean, I have to praise him for that as myself. I mean, watching and news back home, what happened with riots and everything else. Here, it wasn't like that. Yeah, we had some hairy moments, but I think we've been so lucky with our freedom. I caught COVID, but I think without getting that vaccination so quickly, I could have been a casualty. So, I and my family are very pleased and happy that what we went through, and talking to a lot of people So you've only been ambassador only for a few months. How is it living and working in Cambodia? I have seen that you have done a interview in fluent Khmer. So
Yes.
obviously that would be easy for you to get around, and well done. You did a pretty good job because I did listen to the interview. So how do you feel living here in Cambodia, and also a family? You have your family. How are they handling your life in Cambodia?
Well, I think that, speaking Khmer is really helpful. And I think it's really helped me form a relationship with Cambodian people that I've met, both in Phnom Penh and as I've traveled around the country. And I think it enables me to access the culture and history of Cambodia in a way that I wouldn't be able to do if I didn't speak the language. So I feel immensely grateful and privileged. And it's a beautiful language. I really enjoy speaking it. In terms of my experience here, the most important thing, as is the case, I think, for everybody, is my family. Yeah. And so there's, whether I'm happy or not kind of comes second to whether my wife and children are happy. Yeah. And I'm delighted that Cambodia is such a family-friendly country. Within Cambodian culture, there is a lot of emphasis given to family. And me and my family as a whole have felt really welcomed here, which has been nice. We've had a chance as a family to travel around. It's one of the great things about Cambodia is that it is a safe country. It's really easy to travel around. There are fantastic places to go and to see. Everyone that we've met across the country has been warm and welcoming. And then, there's great weather, there's great food, there's a lot to like in Cambodia.
So what's been your favourite part of Cambodia so far?
So we've only as a family been to Siem Reap and Kampot. And Siem Reap is incomparable. There's nowhere else like the ancient temples of Angkor Wat in the world. So, I personally really love that. And I could spend days running around the temple sites, exploring them in great detail. But funnily enough, when you go with a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old, their appetite for exploring temples is perhaps a little bit less than mine. Yeah. But that was actually one of the fantastic things about Siem Reap is it's a really nice town to wander around, to go for coffee, to go for meals. There's a great zip-lining place near Ta Prohm temple, which my boys love. There's a wakeboarding park. So even for people who, perhaps aren't quite as interested in history as I am, there's so much to do in Siem Reap. So that has to be our favourite place so far. But Kampot was great, so I don't want to upset the people of Kampot.
Yeah. Well, the Kampot's got a beautiful river. I've stayed there in the hotel on the river. So any advice or anything you'd like to say to the British community here in Cambodia and, of course, back at home to come to Cambodia?
Well, to the British community here, I just, my usual message is that I'm really keen to get to know you, to work with you. I recognise the value you bring to the UK-Cambodia relationship. And I've been delighted to interact with so many people in the British community already. And to people back in the UK, I would say that Cambodia is a fantastic country to come to. It's safe. You feel safe everywhere you travel in the country. There is so much that it offers to tourists in terms of nature, culture, history, food, lovely people. So I would just encourage anybody who's thinking about coming to Cambodia to jump on a plane and come here now, because particularly for places that can get busy, tourist numbers have been going up enormously since COVID, but they're not at the levels they were. So come now, it's a great time to come here and to have the ability to explore the temples and some of the ancient sites with slightly less of a crowd than you might do otherwise.
Yes. Well, that's correct. Now Cambodia is fully open now, and things have changed. Dominic, thank you very much for your time today. It's been a pleasure to get to know you a bit more. Hopefully we can work together on other projects and further down the track. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Cheers.
So there we go. There's the ambassador of the British Embassy, Dominic Williams. I'd like to thank him very much for his time. Thank you. See you next time.